So everyone submit the assignment of first week.
I have submitted. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Avinash, yes. Prachi, Anu, Nikita, yes, yes. Okay, that's great. That's great. And how's the studies going on? Are you able to getting the things, understanding the things and topics and revising as well? Okay, okay. And if anyone have any doubts regarding anything, so they can start putting their questions in the group, so other people will make sure that like, or our team will make sure that that will be the solve. Okay, so you guys have to do all these things. So let's wait for a few minutes, then we'll start. Okay. Yeah, I think we can start now. So today I am not going to take the webinar. So Ankit is going to take the webinar, and Ankit is working in Amazon as a machine learning and software engineer. So we invite him to take the webinar on the today's and tomorrow's topic. Okay, and he's also the good contributor and member of the Hidevs. So welcome, Ankit. How are you doing?
Hi Deepak. Hi team. I'm doing great
Yeah.
and really excited to start the session and share my thoughts and learn from everybody in the group. Yes.
Yeah.
So I would request everyone to type in the chat whatever your thoughts are. Anytime we are going to like we are in the session, I'll really appreciate if you could put in your thoughts in the chat, answers or any acknowledgement that yes you are there, you are not sleeping in there. Okay. So yeah, let's get started. And thank you, Deepak, for introducing me. And it's really my opportunity to share my thoughts and my learnings on this. And for me, about me, I am Ankit. I'm currently working with Amazon. And let me just put my focus on the relevant projects for this use case. I have built. I'm currently working with Hidevs, and we are building really amazing project. We'll be deploying it very soon. And apart from that, I have built this Gen AI based. I'm taking early advantage of learning all this and putting it into practice and building my projects into that. And I believe we are having the project that we are also going to learn coming in the coming sessions. So really excited for that. So let's get started. So I believe everyone by now have a good understanding of what Gen AI is, how things are working at the back end, how the training is happening, what are some of the disadvantages, advantages. So I believe you all know that part, right? Yeah. Okay. Great. So let's go take it further and let's take it and we try to understand what are the different models out there in the market. How can you take advantages of certain models for your specific use case, and what are some of the criteria that can help you decide what is different model and what it is exactly doing. So this is the agenda for today, and before we close I'll make sure that you have a good understanding of different type of models out there in the market, and what is the criteria on which they are different, right? So we'll discuss about open source model, closed source model, some of the popular model out there in the market, what is multimodels, and some of the use case for these models that are out there in the market. So we divide in terms of what is the what their usability. So if we tell it as source based, whether it is a open source or a closed source. If it is a open source, it is available as the name suggests itself. It is a open source model. It is available for everyone to use. It is easy to use these kind of models. And there are again closed source. Closed source is something that is like very proprietary or very unique or very built by a company. It is a product of industry and you are going to use it. And then we have some content based. It is content based as in what kind of output the model is generating. So we differentiate on the basis of that as well. Let's take it further and deep dive into each type of model now. Okay. If you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat, and I'll be definitely taking a look into this. Sandeep says, "Is this session being recorded?" I believe yes, it is. It is recorded, and it will be available to you. And yeah, don't worry about that. Let's just focus on the learning for now. Okay. If you have any question, please feel free to put it in the chat, and we'll definitely take it. Okay. So, what are open source model? As the name suggests itself, the source code of this model is publicly available. That means, let's say, if you build a model and you public it, everybody can use these model. There is no limitation of using this model. The source code is available freely. You can use the code, you can modify the code, and you can make it for your specific use case as well. There is no proprietary claim on this model, on this algorithm that is generated in this open source category. Again, if something is available for free, let's say if we talk about Python is an open source language. Everybody is available to contribute. Everybody is able to take the specific use case, build their own model, and some of them also put it back into open source community. So it is a very community kind of development. The model is being developed, and it is like sharing knowledge, collective development, everything. It is very community kind of product that is built for the LLM model is built like that. Such model encourage collaborations, transparency, and community involvement, because everybody is coming in and developing something and putting it back into the community. So learning from the community and putting it back. So some of these examples, I'm sure you my guys must have heard of, is Llama. Llama is a very famous model, pretty good if we talk about, and it is developed by Meta. Yes, it has multiple models, multiple aspects. That is again technical part, but yes, the model is available for use in the public, and you can download it today and you can run it on your machine. So yes, it is available. Again, another one is Mistral, and there are lots of other models that are available on Hugging Face. Hugging Face, if you guys do not know what Hugging Face is, some of you might know. So again, we will come up to that, but Hugging Face is a really good place where you can place all your models, data sets, and everything for community to use. That is one aspect of it. So okay, if we have talked about open source, so let's see what closed source is. So again, what open source was, it is completely opposite of that. We will talk in terms of example as well, don't worry about that. But let's just finish the theory part of it. What closed source is? Closed source is completely opposite of open source. Open source has complete code available for community to learn, community to share, community to cooperate and develop their own product. But in closed source model, you do not have anything like that. No code is available. They are maintained separately by an organization or a company, and they are profit motive. Yes, because it is a company, it is their intellectual property that they are developing. They are just giving it to you for usability on use case basis. That's it. You do not own that model. You can put a request and you can get the response from the model. That's where we use API keys. uh, Good example of this is, I'm sure you guys have heard of OpenAI, ChatGPT, right? So OpenAI is a closed source model. The name itself is very dicey. It is not open source. It is a closed source model, and it is a commercial product. As I mentioned, it's a commercial product and require license or subscription, just like API keys, to use these kind of models. So at one end, you have everything that is available for free. All the source code is available. You can customize everything, and that is available for you. On the other end, you have closed source model, which are just as a product for you. What is happening at the back end, you do not know. You will just get the access license for this product, this model, and you will be able to cater your request as per your use case. That's it. So that is very I would say, difference between the basic difference in terms of closed source and open source model. This can be, there can be multiple criteria whether you want to go for open source, do you want to go for closed source. One of them can be accessibility, whether you will be able to access a open source model or not, or a closed source model or not. One thing can be customization, because you cannot customize a closed source model. You can download the source code, you can customize it for your specific use case, the open source model. That is one of the criteria that differentiate between these two. Then again, community contribution. In open source, you can contribute, you can learn, you can modify everything. But in closed source, you cannot do anything. It's just a pre-built package that is available for you, and you just need to use that. There is no option other than that. And then licensing and cost, that is one thing. And also, I missed out in here that other factor can be privacy of the data. Privacy of the data, that means, let's say you have a company data that is available, and companies do not wish to share their data, and when we are placing a request with a closed source model, there can be chances that whatever the data I'm putting in, what is the reliability of that. So that can be one criteria also. So companies might want to have their own custom model for the, which is being hosted in their own server, that there is a very minimal chance of data leakage. That is one thing. So that can also be one factor that will help you understand what is the difference between open source and closed source, and what has to be used in which specific use case, because it has to go with respect to the use case. Okay. Do you have any question for now? We can take it. If you have any question, please put it in the chat. Yes, no, maybe. Okay, great. Thanks, Prachi. Uh, okay, thanks, Sandeep. We can take it from here. Let's jump to the next type of model. Okay, so there is something called text generation. What is text generation? You put in something and you generate a text out of it. So this is one kind of model that is available out there in the market, and this is very naive kind of model. If I talk about in terms of the response that is generated, the focus of these kind of models is on gathering the information, whatever the information that you have put, you are giving in the input. And the main task of these kind of models is to generate the contextually relevant text. That's it. It does not need to be the correct, it just needs to be coherent and contextually relevant. I'm repeating again, this is very important to understand this, and then you will be able to appreciate what the next kind of model is doing. So again, this text generation model, text to text model, what it does is, it just generates the next word. It has to be coherent to whatever the existing word you are putting in the input. That's it. It is unidirectional. That means you cannot go back and forth in the conversation. You just need to put at one input and the output will be available. And then you give an input again, and it will again start generating the words forward. So it is not going to be bi-directional. It is just going to be one directional, and that's it. You cannot go back. The architecture in here is different from what we have another models. What it does is, you give in the input, the text input is then converted into numbers. We have some encoders, we have some decoders, and these encoders and decoders are available on the both end of the models. So what model does is, it accepts the numbers and it generates the numbers. That's it. And encoder and decoder, what they does is, they convert the text into numbers. So if I, in very layman term, if I talk about, the input and output has to be text, but the machine internal model does not understand that. So it is a very naive thing that I mentioned earlier as well. So it has an encoder and the decoder. The encoder and decoder has to be same, because it has certain, like encoding and decoding. The technique that you are using to encode something will be used to decode, so that you are able to retrieve the exact information. Otherwise, you might miss on certain information. You might not be able to decode exactly. So that's why encoder and decoder has to be same. And then we have the model, the one that is generating the next word. Some of these models are Google ka Palm. It is available for a long time now, I believe for a couple of years, even before this GPT thing or Chat GPT thing was very much into limelight. Then Gamma is a very again model. Uh, If we talk about by Facebook, Butler bot, it is again built by Facebook, and these are not very, in use kind of models, because they are not very much reliable if we talk about in terms of response. This is a premature age of a GPT model that is being that is will be generated out later. The next part is chat models. Okay, chat models is what, in the earlier text generation model we have just the next word that is coming out, irrespective of whether it was correct or not. It has to be just relevant to the input that is available. And let me see if I can give you an example for this. Okay, so yes, I have opened this page in here. I have opened this to just to show you. This is one model that is available. That is text generation models. You can see in here. This is a text generation model, and let me run it again so that you are able to appreciate that why other kind of model are good and why this is not the best model out there in the market. So the input in here is my name is Luis and I like to. That's it. No context, no further information, nothing. And the task of this particular model, Microsoft 5 1.5, the task of this model is to just generate whatever comes next to this. Okay, so let's just wait. It is right now doing how what it is doing in the back end. Mm, okay, so this is the code. If you someone is interested, this is the code that is running at the back end. Not exactly this, because this is again for certain thing. But what it is happening, it is we are going to in use in here. We have a tokenizer, we have everything, and then we have model that is generating the response, and then we have a like decoder. This is the decoder. The decoding thing is happening in here. So again, the same thing is happening, and let's, I believe the response is generated. Yes, see, my name is Luis and I like to play soccer. Who told the model that I like to play soccer? Nobody. It's just that whatever the data it was trained on, it was trained to just generate the next word. It may not be correct. It just has to be coherent. And see, I like to play soccer, full stop. The text is getting completed. So it is doing pretty good job, but it is not for our use case, right? So this is one aspect of it. So if we talk now, I believe you will be able to appreciate why chat models are good. What chat model does is it is a two-way communication bi-directional model, which is trained on question and answer set of data set. You have a question, you have an answer, and there are millions of rows of these kind of data, and the model is trained to generate, to understand and respond accordingly. Whatever the question that you put in, it needs to generate the response, and it has to be like you are putting in a question and it is giving you the answer. You have used many models like chat gpt, Gemini, Mistral. They are all these kind of models. They have chat models as well. So you can use this, and this is really fine tuned for the conversation flow. This is very important in here, because it, whatever the input that you are giving in and whatever the response that you are getting, it is going to be a conversation, just like you are talking to somebody, your friend or anybody. That is it. And chat gpt, Gemini, Llama, these are all these chat based model which can help you generate. There is one also that is instruct based that we can discuss later. In this like within this presentation, we are going to discuss that. Let's talk about some of the example. There is something called, I believe most of you have used by now. I believe yes. Chat GPT is one of the very famous model. It is a closed source model, right? Okay, now let me just put it for you guys. You tell me which one of these models is a closed source model. Anyone? I have just explained, so I believe if you guys understood what I was referring to, Chat GPT is a cloud. Okay, yeah, yes, correct. Chat GPT is a closed source model. It is generated by, it is developed by OpenAI. OpenAI just say they are non-profit, but the product they have developed, they are charging for the API keys. Yes, that is correct, Nitin. Right. So these are closed source model. They are just getting the interface, and you can just use it directly, or you can place a request with the help of API keys, and you can get the response. That's it. Right. How about Llama? Llama 2. Is this an open source or closed source? Open source. Great. Anybody else? Okay. Is there anybody who says that Llama 2 by Meta is a uh, closed source model? Okay, no worries. How about Gemini? I believe none of you have mentioned Gemini till now. Is Gemini a closed source or an open source model? Anybody? Gemini by Google. I'm sure you must have heard of. Gemini is a closed source. Avinash says it a closed. No idea. Prachi, okay, no worries. Anybody? Kanya says open. Okay, so tell me this. Like, do you have any idea if you can download this Gemini model into your server, into your local machine, and use it? Have you heard of anything like this? Um, no, only API. No. Yes. So how come Gemini becomes um, open source model? No worries. I believe I should give this as a homework. Maybe if you guys are curious to know, maybe you can explore a bit this a bit more and do a bit research on Mistral as well as Cloud AI also. Okay, these are Mistral is one of the top-notch model that is out there in the market right now. It is competing with the Chat GPT-4 model. So yeah, maybe you guys can do a bit more homework on this, right? That should be fun. Okay, so if we talk about right by now, you guys understood what are different kind of models: open source, closed source, text generation based, chat based. So what do you think till now? How are we giving in the input and how are we getting the output? What was the input format and what was the output format and how was the what internal thing? Let alone the internal thing. Just tell me what was the input and with the output format text, right, Nitin? So till now anybody else? Prompt as a input, prompt is text only, so we were just typing in the keyboard and giving it as an input and getting the response out of it, right? So shall we level up the game and maybe we can try what are the different models, we have different models out there where we can have different mode of communication with the LLM model itself, right? Yes. So let's just level up the game, and we have something called multimodels. Yes. What multimodal does is there are different models in there running at the back end, and they are delegating. Not I want the delegating won't be the right word, but they are internally connected and they are working simultaneously to generate the output for you, right? So how this thing is going to work, let's just see how these things work, but let's just first understand what multimodal is. Multimodal is nothing but it helps you enhance your LLM capabilities. Wow. Till now you were able to just give the input as a text and getting the output as a text, which is not a very boring kind of thing. Sometimes you want to generate an image, that won't be able to help you to generate the image, right? So it helps you to play around with the conventional test, multiple models playing around to generate output for you. Sometimes it can be image, sometimes it can be voice based command. So and I'm sure you guys I don't know if you guys have tried it or not. Maybe there is something GPT-4 model. Have you guys anybody tried GPT-4 model, like the premium version of it where you pay around 2000 rupees per month? Yeah, okay, Prachi says hi. Yes, they have used. So what the difference is in there is if you have GPT 3.5 model, you just give it the input text and you get an output text. That's it. No, only Copilot. No worries. So in GPT 3.5, you just give in a text and you get an output text. That's it. There is no other mode of communication. You ask to generate the code, the code is generated, but that is again a text. Nothing else. There is no multiple models playing at the back end. There is just one model giving you the output and that's it. But what if multimodal, I put you into the multimodal, you will be able to give the image in the input, you will be able to give a PDF, or you will be able to talk to the model just like you are talking to me maybe. So that is one option that can multimodal help you. So it just increase your spectrum in which you can use the LLM. So there is one thing that is going to extract the information out of the document that you are going to provide it to the document, and then we have something other model that is going to analyze whatever the input the information it has got, and then uh, one model is going to analyze the query that you are putting in and it is going to generate the answer for you. That is happening at the back end. So how these models are integrated at the back end, that is again multimodal thing that is happening. You are getting a black box out there. If you are using let's say closed source model, you are using OpenAI model, so everything is happening at the back end. Multimodal thing is happening at the back end. You are just getting the output. You just say I want image of let's just play around with this a bit maybe. Are you guys interested to see some action? Let's try with Gemini because I do not have uh, pro version of it. Okay. Uh, GPT 3.5 won't work. GPT 4 can work. Gemini can work because Gemini may they are providing all the stuff. So what do you think? Let's just ask it to um, of so let's just ask to generate a random image. Obviously, it is not going to be very right because we are filling like giving a very vague input, but it will be able to generate. How? Because there is something called it is multimodal happening at the back end, which is going to generate the image out of the whatever the text that we are providing, right? So this is the multimodal thing happening at the back end. Yeah, wow, this is great. We are able to get the image and the output. In GPT 3.5 it is out of the capabilities, but as the model is upgrading, as the time is progressing, we are able to have this multimodal thing at the back and it is able to generate all this, right? So this is what multimodal is. You guys tell me if you have any concern around this. Maybe we can discuss it, or you can park the question for later. Let me just see. I use text generation with valid paid version for yeah, great Prachi. That is a really amazing thing. And GPT 4 is really amazing. Like you can like right now, if I go with the voice one, it is going to take my voice input, convert into text, and then feed into the system. But that is not the very best way. GPT 4, you can put a screenshot, you can put voice, you can talk to the LLM model just like you are talking to, let's say, a machine or a human. It typically generates the output like that. And what are different LLM models, like multi models out there in the market? One of them, I don't know if you guys have heard of, probably you must have heard of, is DALI. DALI is by OpenAI, and it is not available on the interface side. But if you are generating image with the help of GPT-4 model, the DALI is working at the back end, and it is able to retrieve this information and provide it to you. If you are using it with the help of API keys, you need to call specific model for DALI to generate the image for the input that you are providing in. So that is amazing, really amazing to play with the DALI and generate the image out of it. Okay. Again, the another one is Whisper. What Whisper does is it recognize the speech that is fed into the system. So you input audio file and it will be able to recognize it, and it will be able to convert, and we add up a model and it will be able to convert that speech into text. That is the Whisper model. So these are different models available. Let's just not confuse, these models are integrated to give you a certain kind of output. GPT-4 has integrated all these model at one place, and you are able to use it. GPT-4 model earlier, like in the initial days, you need to select whether you want to use it for analysis, whether you want to use the DALI feature. But in the recent update, it everything is integrated, so you just need not to select anything. You just give in the input and you can generate the output out of. Have anybody used the previous version of GPT, like GPT-4 previous version, where you need to select manually whether you want to generate the image? So you need to scroll, like select from the drop down menu available on the interface, and then you'll be able to generate the images. I believe it was, I believe, a couple of months back. It's been, I believe, 5 6 months back that was available. No worries. So it was available. It was something that was available. Instruct models. Yes, we will come to that. Avinash, don't worry. We'll come up. Let's just wait for a while. Then we have another called text to speech. Whisper, it is just completely opposite to Whisper. Whatever the text is available, it is going to generate the sound for that. And yeah, that is really cool to play around with this kind of model. And then we have five we have just seen. It is for text generation, right? So these are some different use case basis. So whatever your use case is, you can mold your like whatever your project that you are building, or whatever the use case that you are trying to build, you can use different models, you can different combination, and you can try to build whatever the output. One of the project that I did was I was just playing around, and what I did was I was giving in an image in the input, and I was asking the model to generate the text out of it. Once that text is generated, I will manually, like, I have a like dynamic prompt, and I will tweak in the prompt a little bit, so that I make it little fancy or little, like, sketch type of thing. And the description is generated, and I then feed in the same description to my model to generate the image out of it. So that is one loop, and I was running the loop 5 times, 10 times. So what it will do is, every time, for every iteration I'm putting in a image, it is going to generate the text, then image, then text, then image, then text, then image. And that the output was really dramatic. That was just, I was just playing around and seeing how that is going to do. But and it was really amazing. But yes, it did cost me around I guess one to $2 to play around with just a couple of times. So that was really, if you are just investing for your learning, I believe that is a good amount. If you talk about just for one cycle of running, you put in 100 or 200 rupees, is really not a good investment, if I talk about. Okay, so there is something called instruct model. Avinash, we have come to instruct models. I believe I'll be able to explain it now. So there is a difference between chat model and instruct model. There are models out there you will see on the Hugging Face, which rates, Mistral rate says this is an instruct model. And they have typically mentioned it. Even GPT, this OpenAI mentioned there, they have this instruct model. So what is the difference between chat model and an instruct model? Okay, so the difference lies between the training part of it, how the model was trained. Okay, how it was trained? As I mentioned, chat model are trained on a conversational kind of thing. The input document or input data that was provided, it was question and answer, question and answer, question and answer kind of thing. But as the name suggests, instruct, there has to be something in something called instruction in there. So when the instruct model was being trained, they have not two column question and answer, but there was something called instruction, where you set in the mood, where you set in the system, how the system should behave like in that particular kind of at the particular time the action is being taken place. And then we have something input, and then we have something called output. If I talk about, let's just give in that the system message is that you will be provided a text message, and your task is to just translate it into Hindi, or let's say French, whatever the language, whatever the input you are getting, the instruction is to translate this. That's it. You need not to, let's say, even if I ask what is the capital of India, it should just translate this to Hindi or whatever the language that I'm putting in. Not, I don't want the answer, I want whatever the instruction that I'm putting, it just follow that instruction. That's it. I don't want anything. So that's where instruct model comes in. So these have three parameters: instruction, input, and the output. And this is the difference between chat based model and the instruct model. Avinash, I believe it was clear. Yes, no, maybe anything. Okay, nobody. I believe I have explained it, and if you have any more confusion, we can definitely discuss it further. And some of the example of instruct bit, there are many instruction-based models out there. Mistral is quite famous among them, and there is another 7 Llama model that is trained specifically on 52K instruction-based data set, and the model again is renamed as Aplaka. It is again a really good model if you want to use it. Okay, so I believe, do you guys have any more question? I am really excited to see what if I was able to explain this, and have you guys understood, and what is the uh, next thing that we are going to discuss on this. I couldn't get it. What kind of instruction? How it is different from chat-based model? We give prompt as instruction, right? Yes, we give prompt as instruction. But when you have again, I mentioned that the difference lies in the training of the model, right? The training, when the training was happening, there was a different section of the input data that was available. There was one column called instruction, there is another column which has question, there was another column that has answer, the output to that. When you are giving in the prompt, you are using the chat model to behave like a instruction kind of thing, because you are giving the instruction in there and you are dynamically changing that prompt so that you are giving that instruction and then you are giving something. I don't know if you guys have used, there is LangChain library, or there is even OpenAI. If you call with the API, you have something called system, where you set the tone of the system, and then you have something called user message, and then you have something called AI message. So what it does is the system message sets the tone, sets the what how you want your model to behave like in that particular scenario. That's the instruction for that specific action. That's it. Chat models are trained on question and answer kind of stuff, but instruction models comes up with a certain instruction in there. That's the difference. Output can be more or less, you can use chat model with prompt to give it a output. That can be done, but again the difference lies in the training part of it. Are you able to get it? Yes, it is for a specific use case. Because prompt engineering was I like came into picture little later. But when you are training the model, in training the model, you cannot provide the prompt every time, right? So you have instruction column. If you come across, I don't know, maybe later in the course we will be training the model. I believe I'm not sure if you guys will be training your custom model, like you are putting in the data and then you are training the base model, like the base model that we have, and you are training it for your specific use case. So there are different format of that data, whether you have input and output, whether you have input, instruction and output. So these are different formats of the input training data that you provide in. Different kind of formats are available out there, so you need to format your input data with that specific format, and then you will be able to give it input into the LLM model to get trained, right? So that is really amazing. Anybody? We are open for question. Um, so I believe the agenda of the today's discussion was to understand different kind of models out there, and what are the basic difference between these kind of models: open source, closed source, text generation, and and you guys also have a homework. I do remember that you need to search on what is Gemini and Cloud. What are these kind of models? Are they open source or closed source? Right? Any more questions, please? The floor is open. Okay, we have a question from Sandeep. Sandeep says, has text generation model been developed to get coherent text only without giving priority to accuracy? Yes. The text generation model, I mentioned that they are naive model. They are the early stages. The model is not yet ready for the production, but we can say that, okay, whatever the input that we are giving in, it will, the task is to just generate the next word, and the next word has to be very much coherent whatever the input was, as we saw in the example. um, as we saw in here, my name is Luis and I like to. That's it. That doesn't really make a sense. But for model, the task was to just complete the sentence. The model is trained to do so, with irrespective of whether it is a correct answer or a wrong answer. It is trained just to get the word, and it has to be coherent with the input. So it was able to generate the word play soccer. As soon as it generated the play soccer, the word, actually the sentence is complete. Yes, but is it right? We don't know, right? So text generation model is something you can play around, but it is not very much into production kind of thing, because there is no reliability. The model is hallucinating, right? So how do you make it learn now? So that comes with the further training, further fine tuning, further optimizing the all the weights and parameters and everything that is happening at the back end. You are training your model, training your LLM model with respect to the data set that you are providing in. And the training can be instruction based or the chat based, and the output model will be available accordingly, right? Have I make it clear, Sandeep?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yes. Anybody else? Okay, so you guys tell me, was the whole session? Did you guys understood something? Did you guys find something valuable? Was it worth your time putting in here? Okay, great. Thanks, Prachi. Okay, Avinash says, I would like to explore open source model. Do I need to compute resource for them? Yes, that is one of the, I would say, limitation of open source model being used. One thing is data privacy. Yes, because if you are using any LLM model, data privacy comes into picture. If you are using it for the learning use case, or you do not have very much strict policy guidelines with respect to the company data that is available, that is okay. But if you come up very strict, like there is one friend of mine, they are into some insurance industry, and they have very much strict policy with respect to data. They cannot even log in their personal Gmail into their office laptop. So, so it completely depends upon the policy, the company policy, whether you are using. And yes, for open source model, you require computation. Yes, because the model will be running on your local machine, or you can host it on the cloud service, but you got to pay for that again. So it is a trade-off between whether you want to invest on the computational power and use the model, or you want to invest on the use case basis. So that's where the trade-off comes in, and again, it is depending upon the use case also. Okay, Nitin says, are conventional machine learning models still valid now? Because Gen AI have they become obsolete? Absolutely not. Machine learning models will never go obsolete. I believe so. I'll give you the reason why I think so. It is because Gen AI is like all the Gen AI models, all the LLM models are trained to predict the next word, right? They are trained to predict the next word, and we never know whether they are hallucinating or not. What is happening at the back end, there is a neural network that is running at the back end, which has millions of layers with your old millions of neurons that is in there in the back end. But how do you say that it is not hallucinating with 100% accuracy? It is not getting trained on your specific data to generate your specific output. If we talk in terms of example, let's say companies want to predict the demand, let's say this holiday season, right? Many companies do so. So if they are putting in Gen AI model, the Gen AI model is not trained to predict, make these kind of prediction. It was trained to have like tons and tons of data as an input, and generate the next word which is coherent and completing the sentence, and then fine tune so that you can have a holistic answer with respect to whatever the question you are asking. But it is very specific to your use case. Let's say companies have 10 years of sales data, past 10 years of sales data, and they want to predict what is going to be the sales upcoming, what is going to be the demand, so that they can maintain their inventory accordingly. So machine learning models are used, they are trained, the model is trained for the specific use case. So we, and again, if we come about the reliability part, if we talk in terms of accountability part, machine learning models are specifically trained for a specific use case. So we can hold things accountable in there. Every step is how things is happening, how things are working. We control every step part of it. But in Gen AI, we are giving in an input, we are training the model on tons of data and generating output. But is it reliable? Maybe in terms of machine learning, it is not. So it is going to go in hand. Machine learning is never going to go obsolete. That is my point of view. Somebody else might have a different point of view, but this is what my understanding is. Right? Okay, great. Recently, there is a trend of low code AI tool. What is your views on it? Yes, low code or no code also. It is coming up very popular. But again, it depends upon use case. What is your use case? If you want to learn, maybe low code can be a good to start with, but you need to get your hands dirty. But let's say you are even low code no code work, Deepak has also developed a platform earlier, and it was doing the similar stuff. You have all the machine learning pipeline, and you just plug in play and everything, and the machine learning pipeline will be available. You just input your data and everything will be available in the output. You need not to get your hands dirty, and you will be able to get the results out of it, right? So it depends upon what your use case is. If you want to, if you are happy, if your purpose is fulfilled with respect to low code or no code, that is perfectly fine. But if you want to really control how the flow is happening at the back end, if you can tweak in certain aspect of the model that is in there, how you can control that. That is something called parameter fine tuning. How you can control that fine tuning, hyperparameter tuning wala thing. So if you are able to control that part, that means that you have a hold on the pipeline that is running in there, and you can control that. So low code and no code are really good for someone who do not have understanding of how the coding is happening at the back end, how the things are happening at the back end. But if you want to get into this, I believe you should get your hands dirty. That way you will be able to learn, right? Avinash, is that clear? Great. Anybody else? We can definitely discuss this. Okay, Sandeep has a really long question. For different use cases, the model is being trained with different sets of data. So, are we going to learn from how the model is trained exactly? What is the technological process behind training any model, or it is beyond our scope to understand it for the time being? I would like to know about it later. Okay. So how the model is being trained, LLM model is being trained. I believe, like, do you guys have understanding of how the neural networks are working? No. Okay. So if you do not, so do you guys know how the machine learning works? All the conventional machine learning models out there in the market. Do you have any idea around that? Math, calculus, stat, not much idea. Okay, so if you do not have much idea around how machine learning is happening, how machine is learning out of the data that you are getting in, how things are happening at the back end, so maybe it might be a little bit challenging. Yes, math, calculus, stats, everything is really important because there is tons of calculation at every node. Yes, that is there. And if you really go and try to do those calculation with pen and paper, trust me, you will scratch your head. But if you really love to, definitely you should try that. Definitely, then only you will be able to appreciate what machine is doing for you in seconds. You will be able to, you won't be able to do that maybe in hours also, what the machine is doing in a second. So yes, so if you do not have the understanding, you take it like let me think of example. I'm trying to get example. So if I need to explain, you do not have you do not have understanding of how machine learning is happening. In that case, you take it like you do not let's say let's take an example. There is a child who do not know it. The child has come to a new city, and where the child does not know any of the routes. Either it is a school, it is either it is a park, or it is a neighbor shop, that the child does not know anything. But let's say the child goes in one day, the child leaves the house and it just go randomly any direction. Let's say one day it does not reaches the house, the second day it does not, let's say third day it reaches the let's say the child needs to go to the shop to have some candies or anything. Let's say third day the child was able to reach the shop, right? Maybe fourth day he might be able to, he might not. Fifth day he might not. But let's say after 50 days, do you think after 50 days the child will be able to remember what the route to this shop was, right? So similar kind of thing is happening in the machine learning. You are putting in the data. That learning can be different kind. It can be labeled, unlabeled, supervised, unsupervised, semi-supervised, or reinforcement. There can be learning can be different of different type. But the thing that is happening in the back end is something similar to this. You are giving in the data and making the child learn certain aspects, something nitty gritties of that are available, something some feature that is important that has an impact on the outcome of whatever the outcome that we are expecting. So if we are able to control those parameters, in that case, we will be able to generate the output for our specific use case, for our specific input. So similar thing is happening in machine learning, in neural network, and currently the LLM thing is. So we are just controlling the weights of those parameters. What is the weight of different parameters that are being used while the machine learning is happening, or while the neural network is in place, right? So I have tried to explain it in a very mm, like someone who do not understand what machine learning is very broadly, but yeah, thanks Sandeep. I maybe I can come up with a better explanation. uh, yeah. Okay, Prachi says, with respect to the job market, what tools are in demand? What will be the task of Gen AI engineer? Okay, so generative AI is a very recent thing in the market, and if I talk about very recent, it has been around for around a year now, and the companies are really looking for engineers or the Gen AI professionals. If I talk about, and it is not just Gen AI that you learn Gen AI and you will be like completely you need how you can control the output. You need to know how you can control the input. You need to tune those parameters, how you can get a hold over that. Once you get a hold over that, you will be able to like get fit into the market. But Gen AI engineer, Gen AI prompt engineer, there is one thing that is coming up. There is something called like similar to DevOps also, things are coming up. So the demand is definitely out there in the market. I have read an article a couple of days back that Accenture is one of the largest firm, like one of the firm that is harging largest number of Gen AI. They are training their internal employees on the Gen AI thing. So Gen AI is going to stay there a little longer, but not to forget ML is also going to stay there. Was I able to help you understand that, Prachi? Anybody else? We can discuss that. Or if you have any question around any of the topic that we have discussed today, uh, we are open for that. What do they do in daily work? Okay, so as I mentioned, Gen AI is new thing. So the posts are also new. Every company have I was given offer from multiple companies where they are like, we are just building the Gen AI department and you will be the first one on the table. So companies are looking for someone who has a good experience, who can understand things, how who can make things work for them. So it is, again, the posts are really opening up. The posts are not fit like we have data analyst, we have business analyst, we have data engineers. So these are very, it sounds similar. What data analysts do, data scientists can also do. Data scientists can also do train a model. Data scientists can also do the data analyst work. They can also they have different things they can handle. But again, the specialization will come with the time, and there is not very clear demarcation in all these roles. They are overlapping many a times. Yeah, great. Anybody else? Okay. Nitin says, can you share your personal journey of the AI world briefly, the projects you have worked on, problem that you have solved? Okay. So if I talk about my projects, and so maybe, yes, we can discuss this, but let's take some question around whatever that we have discussed from the today's session, and we can discuss this a little later once all the doubts are over. You guys have any more question from the session today? And I'll appreciate if you guys go around and look for different models out there in the market that are available, whether they are open source, whether they are closed source, and all that. LinkedIn profile, yes, we'll come to that, Avinash. Wait. Do we have any more questions? We have 9 members including me. Okay, I'm double in there. Shefali, Sandeep, Prachi, Nitin, Nikita, Avinash, Anu. Do you have any more questions, or we are heading to the end of the session? Okay, I believe there are no more doubts. So yes, we can take a bit on our journey, like my journey. My journey has been like has gone up and down. Currently, I'm working with Amazon, and I'm playing around with the Gen AI models, how this thing is working. One of my project, I am not allowed to discuss my project that I'm doing internally with Amazon, but I'm also doing more projects on the sideline. So I'm just not relying on whatever I'm doing at the workplace. One of the model that I have built is like a custom chatbot where you can directly talk to your document. Maybe I can stop screen sharing. Yes. So what it does is you can make your custom model, custom chatbot. Avinash has already shared my profile link. Great. So you can build your custom model. How custom model works is you can provide your input document, and you wait for the while the document is being processed, and then you can ask whatever the question you wish to ask, and then you can generate the response out of it, and it is going to happen in real time. And okay, I have stopped the screen share now, otherwise I would have shared the screen and explained how this thing is working. No worries. So we will, I believe we are going to build these kind of models also later in the course. I guess so. And this similar to this, I have multiple models, multiple projects where you can have a CSV document as the input, and we can have analysis out of that. That is also feasible, and we have like I have already done that, right? Okay. Uh, you guys are not typing in there. No worries. So, yeah, I think we should call it a day. And if you have any more doubts or anything, we can definitely discuss it. And I'll really, appreciate if you go back and study a bit on this, because this is the foundation part of it. And once you get a hold over this, then the things coming further will be really easy for you to grasp it. So that would be really amazing. That would be fun to learn. So yeah, that's all for today, guys. If you have any concern, please pass on the feedback as well. And any doubts, please feel free to drop. Okay, let's call it a day.